Was I wrong about Dragon Delves? GameMasters here, and yesterday I did a video going over why I felt that Dragon Delves was not worth it, and I listed out my top 5 concerns as to why I didn't feel that it justified the $50 price tag. But then I got this comment from Israel Morales 4249. Great video. I agree with you. It's difficult to close our mind to the knowledge we already have from previous lore. We become less forgiving on that aspect, even if we know that the designers probably make the omission for the sake of the plot and on service of new players and DMs without all the baggage we have. And that got me to thinking. Maybe Dragon Delves wasn't made for me and older players. Maybe it was made, as Morales pointed out, for new DMs. A lot of people started playing D&D back in 2014 when 5th edition came out. Sure, there were still plenty of us playing, even going back to the 1E and 2E days. But consider that we just had a new version of 5th edition come out last year, and that Dragon Delves is the first book of adventures to release based on that updated 5th edition version. Looking at it from that perspective, and I think that the entire point that it was 100% designed with the new rules in mind makes sense. And this certainly does not dismiss my other issues with the lore and adventure layouts. We'll come back to that in a bit. But it does bring into question something a bit more of a technical nature. In that video, I did offer up a couple of things that I liked about it, specifically the intro to each adventure in that it provides a list of key plot points, key NPCs, and DM prep notes. I really like that, and I hope that they continue that layout in all of their subsequent adventure books that are going to be coming out. But then, after reading Morales' comment, I put some blinders on and went back to read through the first adventure, Death at Sunset, specifically in the mindset of how it would read and flow for a new DM. Then I moved to the second adventure, Baker's Doesn't, then to the third, fourth, and so on. And looking through all of that, through that specific new DM lens, and I found that each adventure gets progressively more complex, not for what it puts the players through specifically, but what it actually asks the DM to do and how they need to keep up with the adventure. One prime example of this can be found when examining the DM's maps. In the first adventure, Death at Sunset, the DM's map of the Dragon's Lair lists out just a few locations. It's not a super big map, so it doesn't overwhelm the DM with things to keep up with. In a similar fashion, the second adventure, Baker's Doesn't, only slightly expands the amount of locations found in the main map, but it also adds a second level. While keeping it fairly basic, it expands the complexity. By the third adventure, The Will of Orcus, and the DM map begins to throw a decent amount of more complexity in terms of locations and scale of the map to the DM. Perhaps from a certain point of view, as Obi-Wan would say, I was wrong about Dragon Delves. True to Morales' comment, I didn't see that side of the book because I myself have been playing and running Dungeons & Dragons since the 1980s. Can I say definitively that the book is not worth it? Well, I suppose I need to shift my view to it depends. For me, it's still not, but for a new DM, it might be. It really does do a good job of easing one into that role of being a dungeon master, but I would urge a word of caution to the new DM that is looking to pick this book up. While I disagree with the direction that some of the adventures take strictly from a lore and story point of view, I would urge a little bit of caution for that new DM, especially if this is your first foray into the world of running a game with the creatures and dragons that show up in it. I realize that Dragon Delves makes use of 5th edition rules, even rules found in the 2014 edition of the game. And there is one complaint that I had that I was evidently wrong about that I really do want to clarify. In the adventure, The Forbidden Vale, we have a young red dragon that has taken up the task of burning areas around said vale in order to keep outsiders from entering that vale or even building villages close to it. That this young red dragon evidently was born from the ashes of its predecessor, an ancient red dragon. My complaint was that according to lore, and I was using the Draconomicon from 3rd edition as my evidence was that red dragons hatch from eggs. They don't rise from ashes. Except in really digging deep for this video, the one I'm presenting to you now, and again, looking at it from the perspective of a new DM making use of only 5th edition material, I ran across this one passage in Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, specifically pertaining to the origin of dragon eggs. It reads, "Spontaneous reincarnation. When an adult or older dragon dies, one or more eggs form in the dragon's decomposing body. These eggs might grow like fungus as the body rots away. They could appear among the ashes after the body is consumed by fire, or they might need to be mined out from a corpse that has turned to solid stone or metal." I also had a complaint that was specific to the first adventure in that in Dragon Delves that involved a green dragon wormling. The egg hatched after about 95 years after its mother had died. Again, I cited the Draconomicon as my source, and it states that it's got an incubation period of about 1.5 years. But also in Fizban's, we get this line. The incubation period for any egg might range from 6 months to several decades or longer. I mean, it states right there that the egg could appear among the ashes, or that the incubation period could possibly be that 95 years. And you know, in my previous complaints about the lore, I fully admit, if I'm using 5th edition only rules, I was wrong. Damn. I mean, I almost feel like I need to delete my Is It Worth It video. But I think I'm going to leave it as is. I've looked at this from both sides, as both an older DM, as best, and of course, as best I can through the lens of a new DM. And while some of these issues with it, some of my issues with it have kind of wavered a bit, I still maintain that for me and my table, Dragon Delves is not exactly worth the $50, as I'd rather create up my own adventures with the lore that me and my table are accustomed to. But, as I mentioned in my last video, your mileage may vary. At the end of it, if you are a new DM, you got to decide if this book is worth it to you. Now, if you have this book or are planning to get it, talk to me down in the comments. Does it flow for you? Do the adventures make sense? Is it worth it to you? I'd really like to hear your views. Again, comment below. And until next our paths cross, may you not be so set in stone that your views can't change. Oh, and watch this video next.